An idea I've been obsessing over for decades, restructuring the 40-hour work week to fit into 4 days instead of 5. But my next guest is taking the idea even further, making the case for fewer days and fewer hours, but with no loss in productivity. It's all in his new book, The 4-Day Week, How the Flexible Work Revolution Can Increase Productivity, Profitability, and Well-being, and Create a Sustainable Future. The author, Andrew Barnes, joins me. He's also an entrepreneur, founder of the will and trust company, Perpetual Guardian, and co-founder of the advocacy group, also called 4-Day Week. I'm thrilled to meet you, Andrew. Thanks so much for being here. So the difference between you and me is we have similar goals. I talk a good game. You actually did it. You did it at your own company. I should have made that clear.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why'd you do it? Why'd you make the change?
I read a survey that indicated that the Brits were only productive for 3 hours a day and the Canadians for 1.5 hours a day. And I thought, that's strange, but is that happening in my business? So I thought, well, I'll do an experiment. I'll offer my staff the chance to earn 5 days' pay, but only working 4 normal days.
And that was an 8-week trial, right?
That was an 8-week trial. And then see what happened.
And what happened?
Productivity went up about 25–30%. Stress levels dropped 15%. The engagement scores went up 40%. And more people said they could do their job better in 4 days rather than 5.
Were you surprised?
On the last point, yes. On everything else, no. I mean, the idea is to make your staff have the chance to be the best they can be in the office and the best they can be at home. I'm going out on a limb here. I think a more engaged, happy, healthy workforce is a productive workforce.
You know, as I said a minute ago, I've thought small through the years. I've been advocating for a compressed week. You don't work fewer hours. You just do it in a handful of days. But you have something called 180-100. What translate that for me? So
the 180-100 means it works for any employee, whether you're working 1 day or whether you're working 5 days. So basically, we pay 100% of the pay. You only have to work 80% of the time, but provided we get 100% of the productivity. And it works. Was there resistance from some of the employees? I mean, I think you call them, when you're talking about managers in your book, the ostriches. The people who, and I can relate to this, is even if something is exciting on the horizon, I like what I have because there's some certainty. I'm not a risk-taking kind of person. Was that one of the obstacles you confronted, or were people all in? No, they weren't all in. So my board was pretty anti, my senior management were pretty anti. We're conditioned, right? We're both conditioned to work longer, is working harder. And if you go to a manager and says, I've got this wild idea, they're worried that they will be held responsible when it fails.
So how did you alleviate that concern?
I just had to say, look, I own the company. I'm going to I'm going to take the hit.
That's one way to convince them.
I sorted the board out by announcing it on national television. And so they said, well, you know, we're not going to be the people who say no. You've just got to give them the confidence that actually just give this a try. Do the trial, see how it works, and the trial indicated that our staff worked better and we got more productivity. I
would bet cynics on this would say, yeah, I accept the notion that the stress levels are going to go down. I accept that engagement may be greater. What I don't accept easily is that productivity either stays the same or goes up. How do you explain that?
Well, I undercooked it. I said it stays the same. Yeah. In fact, if you look around the world, the most recent, Microsoft in Japan, did a 4-day week trial. Productivity went up 39.9%. And all they did is say, you've got to use Microsoft Teams, no more than 5 people in a meeting, no meeting longer than half an hour. We waste an awful lot of time in the office. And all you are asking people to do is do things a little differently and respect other people's time.
You know, we've only talked so far about the benefit to the employee and the company, both of which are important. There's a larger benefit, too. And when we talk about climate change virtually non-stop, well, I'm sure in your country, too, virtually everywhere, the impact on the environment is immense, correct?
If you did this in the United States, it would be the equivalent of taking 10.5 million cars off the road every year. So emissions from cars are about 30% total emission. So that's quite significant.
You know, even if we agree that people are risk averse, particularly if things are, quote, working, whatever that means, roughly, 100 years ago in America, they started doing this. I think it was 80 years ago. It was in 1940, I think the federal government said, let's do the 5-day work week. Why are there so few experimenters? I mean, why is there not a Democrat on the stage tonight particularly the more radical ones amongst them, saying a 4-day work week is what America needs to try. Why has it taken so long for people willing to put their toe in the water?
I don't know, to be honest. I mean, it seems very strange to me that everything has changed. How we work has changed. The impact of technology has changed. But the way we work is identical broadly to the way we worked at the turn of the century. And I think it's because a lot of leaders say, look, I just don't want to take the risk. And also we're lazy. We don't really understand productivity in our own businesses.
Do you accept that some industries just can't do this? Some industries where you need to have a presence around the, I don't mean around the clock, but every single day. There are such places, obviously, right?
Yeah,
yes?
But we own retail stores. We have to be open all the time.
So what do you do, just rotating
We
things
rotate the
before?
stuff. We don't take a Friday off. Not everybody takes Friday or everybody takes Monday. What we do is rotate it through the teams. In fact, I know companies that have introduced the 4-day week and have then said, right, we're opening 7 days a week.
How are you seen in your own country?
A bit of a
You're an
maverick.
honest man,
A bit of a
obviously.
maverick, I think. But we're increasingly getting traction. I mean, this is a debate we need to have. It addresses gender pay, access to the C-suite, the mental health pandemic.
Which I think
that's
is one of the
sweeping the world.
hugest parts of this
You know,
whole
it's
thing.
1 in 5 in the United States of your workforce at any time has a stress or mental health issue.
So look into the future, a little Nostradamus thing, if you can, for a second here. Not pipe dream stuff, but reality based on some evidence you've seen. Where are we in 10 years? Where are we in 20 years?
Oh, in 10 years we'll be on a 4-day week. I have absolutely no doubt. In fact, I think the inflection point in some countries will be quicker. Bizarrely, the Russians are drafting legislation to bring in a 4-day week.
Well, if Putin does it, then we'll obviously do it. That's
Well,
the way
of
it
course.
works, isn't it?
But you know...
But what's the driver? Is it the? I mean, the more when I'm thinking about you coming, I really do think about this a lot. I learned a lot from your book, which is great, by the way. It seems to me it's got to be an external force. I think climate, the environmental benefit of this is something that could drive otherwise non-experimental types. You're not agreeing with that?
Well, I would like to hope so, but I think the bigger issue in the United States is the fact that you've now got more jobs than you have applicants.
That's a very
So
good point.
how
That's
do
a
you
very
attract
good point.
staff? Yesterday, as I understand it, Shake Shack have started to say that some of their managers will go to a 4-day week so they can attract and retain staff.
So it's not just, right, that's huge. So it's also, I should have brought that up, a competitive advantage kind of thing. Yet another, well, perk is too cheap a word, but for a company to outbid somebody else for somebody's services.
Well, tell me another employee benefit that doesn't cost you money.
Can I tell you something? I'm going to be working in Shake Shack by the end of the week. Andrew, you're my hero. The book is great. Congratulations.
Thank you, Jim.
May you spread your message far and wide. Andrew Barnes, again, the book, again, is The 4-Day Week, How the Flexible Work Revolution Can Increase Productivity, Profitability, and Well-Being and Create a Sustainable Future.